Well, Beth was just talking there about the reaction of different MPs on the Conservative benches. We're joined now by Rehman Chishti, who's a former minister, ex-vice chairman of the Conservative Party himself. Thank you for being on the programme this evening. How damaging has the last few days been from the Conservative Party?
Well, I think the question that we have to ask is we should be focusing on jobs, opportunity, prosperity, security, and how do we deliver happiness for our constituents across the country. And I think, when we see issues like this, that distracts the government and it distracts from the Conservative Party from getting their message out there with regards to how we are going to deliver, for our great country when it comes to jobs, opportunity, security, prosperity. The question that I have now is this. This issue is nothing new. I raised this issue with the Prime Minister during the leadership campaign when he wanted my support. I've sat on the Home Affairs, the issue of engagement with the Muslim community, because I've sat on the Home Affairs Select Committee for 3 years looking at extremism, looking at intolerance, and there was two faith communities, the Jewish community and the Muslim community, which had the largest amount of hate against them. And it's completely unacceptable. And I said to the Prime Minister, look, in our national interest, let's ensure that we have a government which is inclusive and it engages with people from all different faiths and backgrounds. We've had an issue with regards to engaging with the Muslim community, and I want you to commit to me that it will be an inclusive government, a merits-based system, and you can treat all faith communities fairly. And I shared data with him. He said to me, Rehman, I'm committed to this and we will work together on this if I become Prime Minister.
Well, he's in Prime Minister now. Has he kept his promise to you?
I have not seen the Prime Minister for over a year and a half since he's become Prime Minister.
So he hasn't worked with you on it, has he?
He hasn't. And the fact on that is this. if we look at the latest statistics, from Tell Mama, a government-funded organisation, and it says in the last 4 months, there's been 2,000 plus incidents of anti-Muslim hatred, hate crimes across the board. And I said to the Prime Minister, look, let's treat all faith communities fairly and equally. So with regards to the Jewish community, anti-Semitism has seen a real unacceptable rise, and therefore the government has rightly put forward the resources, autumn statement. It has an independent advisor to deal with anti-Semitism. However, with regards to the Muslim community, the government, the Prime Minister, has failed to appoint an independent advisor on Islamophobia for the last 16 months. And there's been no funding in the autumn statement for that. And then you look at the Prime Minister's statement yesterday when he talks about intolerance and hate in politics, and he makes it very clear the government is committed to dealing with that. And he says dealing with anti-Semitism, absolutely. But there's no mention in that statement yesterday about tackling anti-Muslim hatred.
So do you think that faiths aren't being treated equally? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying absolutely, Sophie, you're right. I think, for our great country, we have people from all different faiths coming together in an inclusive manner. It's what His Majesty King Charles said, last year. What makes our great country great is the diversity of faith and backgrounds. But what we're seeing from the Prime Minister and his ministers at the moment, they are choosing to support some faith communities and they're choosing not to support some faith communities, and that is absolutely unacceptable.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because they've effectively written off the support of some Muslim voters? Do you think it's even worse, perhaps, they're trying to weaponise some of that to win votes?
I think, for me, what I would say, I've asked that question to the Prime Minister. I'm waiting to see him.
What do you think?
And I think what I've said before, I think maybe the Prime Minister has made the calculation, he doesn't want to engage with the Muslim community because it doesn't, he doesn't need that for his political purposes. But what I would say to him on that, David Cameron was brilliant. And he engaged with faiths across the board, and he won the election, in 2010. He got us into government, and in 2015. He could look at how David Cameron engaged with faith communities across the board fairly and equally. And also Theresa May appointed 2 independent advisors. John Mann, great job on anti-Semitism. She appointed Kari Assam on anti-Muslim hatred, Islamophobia, and she was committed to that. But this Prime Minister has not taken that decision to reappoint an independent advisor.
I just want to have a look at what Lee Anderson said, because this is what goes back to. He said, I don't actually believe that the Islamists have got control of our country, but what I do believe is they've got control of Khan and they've got control of London. He's actually given our capital city away to his mates. Is that racist? I would say that behaviour, those comments are completely and utterly unacceptable, and I think it's a lazy use of language. Is it Islamophobic?
But I think this is where I would say we have to be very careful and clear before we put labels on people as to what they are, what they're not. The government has removed its independent advisor. If you had an independent advisor, that's not the Labour Party saying it, that's not the Conservative Party saying it. If you have the independent advisor, you ask the independent advisor, the comments made by that member of Parliament, is that Islamophobic or not, rather than asking another politician to do it, because we as politicians have to be careful before we start labelling as somebody, with regards to if they're, whether they're Islamophobic or anti-Semitic. We're therefore having independent processes. An independent advisor would have done that job for the Prime Minister and we would have all known what the situation is. But his comments, Lee Anderson's comments, unacceptable, completely unacceptable. And therefore, I think, with regards to this is where we have to be careful in politics.
Okay.
If we don't agree with somebody, we put the word extremism next to it, and that creates intolerance and hatred and divisiveness in our society.
He's stood by what he said. He effectively said that his comments were born out of frustration at what's happening to our beautiful capital city. So he's talking about things like From the Road to the Sea being projected onto Parliament. He's talking about the policing of anti-Israel protests. This is Suella Braverman's take, former Home Secretary. She says we need to urgently focus now on the big problem, how to tackle Islamist extremism in the UK. The hysteria in response to those calling out the crisis is one of the reasons why we're not making progress. What do you make to that? Is it hysteria?
Well, I think with regards to Suella Braverman, I called out Suella's previous comments with regards to the comments she made with regards to the Muslim community and the unacceptable, the incidents in Rotherham. They were absolutely unacceptable, and therefore the question there was she was linking incorrectly the Pakistani Muslim community to that, when the data showed from the Home Office that was not the case. Her comments then, as the Home Secretary, then, in my view, and speaking to people across the board, led to an increase in anti-Muslim hatred. So therefore, my point is, politicians, whether you're the Home Secretary or the former Home Secretary or a sitting member of Parliament or the opposition politician, you have to be absolutely careful because every word has a meaning, and therefore, at the moment, sadly, we have a culture, is if you do not agree with somebody, people think it's okay to threaten, to harass, to intimidate, and sadly lead to using violence. And we've lost two members of Parliament, one to the far right, one to the Islamist extremism. And therefore, as politicians, we have a duty to make sure that we use our words with great care. Rather than if we disagree with somebody, we suddenly use words which then incite hatred and intolerance. And whoever it is in Parliament, I would say to them, look, in the interest of our national democracy, please, just make sure that we use our words with great care and do not, incite hatred and intolerance towards other members of society.
OK, thank you very much. Great to talk to you today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rehman Chishti, there.